Welcome to the C-Suite Sales and Marketing Perspectives podcast. I'm Steve McDonald, your host, and today we've got a really special guest on with Patrick McGuire. Now, Patrick, you're going to do much better justice to this in just a minute, but you are a founder. You are, for a number of companies, a fractional CRO where you actually have an equity stake in the business. So you're there for the long term and help basically take entrepreneurs to exit. I'll let you explain a little bit more about that. But how you do that is something that we really, really want to talk about today. And you shared how you do that and how you actually 3x sales by building what you call the trust funnel. And we're going to get into that in a big way and why trust is so important and why you focus on it so much. But part of the discipline of doing this, I think you said, comes from your military background. And so I want you to talk a little bit about that as well. So I'll turn it over to you before we dive into the topic here and do a little bit better justice than that to your background.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate it, Steve. And I don't bring it up too much about my military. We just came out, so it must be meant to be said. But yeah, so I was a very high-level athlete. I wasn't the smartest guy in school. I worked hard to just barely get enough grades. When I realized I needed more grades to get off to university and play hockey, the reality is I worked a little harder, but it was just in time. When I really got huge discipline, it was when I was in the military. And if I precede that, I would say I've been blessed with the opportunity to travel the world. I lived in England, Ireland. I lived in France for summers. I literally got shipped out on a plane in Toronto on a pilot exchange program. And I landed in Marseille, and I got to live in Aix-en-Provence in a little town called Puy-Ricard. Because of hockey, I traveled in Germany and all sorts of places. So my world travel and my military has truly structured and given me the gifts that I am today. And it's discipline, it's regiment. I'm very fluid. I love things that just go and I roll with the punches. But I'll tell you, I think that that's also part of what a founder's entity is. I think that's part of what the military gives you. You know, I think it was Mike Tyson, and the joke is always, and he said it, he says it with a much higher pitch than I do, but it was like, everybody's got a great plan until somebody gets punched in the face. And it's so true. And that's what founders get all the time. And so I'm very comfortable in that role of getting punched in the face and adapting, triaging situations. And I would say that's a big deal to the military, but also knowing people. That's a big deal of world travel, being somewhere where you don't know anyone or the language. So those are things that I love. And I think I bring to founders, but that creative energy and that passion for fitness and health. And you asked me earlier, what's two things? And I said military was one, because I was just thinking, what else? You know, if you Google my name with empowered nutrition, you will probably find a fairly fit picture of a guy and a whole bunch of his clients. And that was me. I was a former competitive bodybuilder and power lifter. So discipline is a big deal to me. Creativity to figure things out, to plan, to shape, to structure, to have a goal at the end. 12 weeks of dieting is not easy. You got to have a plan to get there, and then you got to back it up and reverse that plan out, and then you have to attack it. That's what I do with founders today in the empowered entrepreneur model. We want to help empower founders. Where do you want to go? Do you want to exit? Do you just want to grow? Do you need VC? What do you want to do? Back it up. What's the date that you're going to exit? Back it up. Put a plan in place. We do this, and you're going to exit on that date. In fact, I've done it so many times over now that I can tell you that the average of engagement when I get engaged with companies is 23 months to acquisition or exit, depending on what their strategy is. So I am a multiple time founder. I'm a fractional CRO to the companies that I get involved in, either as a consultant, non-executive director, or officially as a CRO. And oftentimes I will take a significant piece of equity whenever the opportunity arises. That's me in a nutshell, but I will say this: father of 3, husband of 1, loving life, and a God-fearing man.
Well, I feel your passion. I want to take all that energy and bundle it up. And I want you to help me dissect those 23 months, right? From the startup to the exit or the acquisition, right? What is the secret sauce that you have in here? What do you want to impart to us so that we start to understand what you're doing?
I mean, I don't think it's secret sauce. I think it's just that people don't practice it anymore. And I say to often to many people, I say, my word is my bond. I can tell you I'm going to do this. And you darn well know that I'm going to do my best to do that. If we shake hands on a deal, you've got my word, my promise, my bond. That's it. That's what we're doing. That's what trust is. And relationships. I can tell you, unfortunately, that one of my best friends, we shook hands on a 50-50 deal. And in the end, he gave me 6%. And I did everything I could, worked days and nights, gave up one of my companies to build a company that exited in very, very short period of time. From the time of inception, we were less than 3 years. From the time that I actually raised the equity for us, the cash, we were 11 months. We were the largest ROI in the shortest period of time to Angel One Network. 71% ROI in 11 months is pretty darn good. I got those exits on those 5 companies that I said we're going to exit to one of these 5. We said no to all 5 except for one. I got the blessing and the curse of saying no to Mark Benioff and George Hu of Salesforce. That's scary. But, I really believe that the secret sauce, as you called it, is trust. It's doing business the way it's supposed to be done. And a little secret to all those founders and friends out there, paper it. So trust is one thing, but papers is what lawyers love. So that's what you got to do. If I can't trust you, we can't do business. If I can't trust you, we can't even sign an agreement to work together. We can't do an MOU. We can't do a non-disclosure. We can't do a letter of intent. In sales, as we scale companies from the scale, I call it grow, scale, exit. In that model, if we're trying to sell and we're just selling something we don't believe in, and I don't have a connection with you, I'm no good. I'm awful. I'm a horrible salesperson. I love marketing and sales. But if I don't have trust with you, you don't have trust with me, and we don't have a good product, we're just selling dog poop to the rest of the world. And it's not going to work. You're not going to close deals. So I believe the way to 3, 5, 10x your sales is by gaining trust and sharing and loving and giving excellence to people when you get a chance to. Maybe the trust funnel. I think that's kind of what we called it.
Yeah, and I definitely want to get into that. I want to underscore a few things that you're saying here because trust is at an epidemic level, lack of it today. If you look at like the latest LinkedIn Edelman Trust Barometer, 61% of 32,000 respondents said that business leaders are intentionally misleading them. Intentionally misleading them. A whole different study talked about how 74% of B2B buyers don't trust the customer evidence that we present to them. And we wonder why, right? That like the self-service B2B buyer journey is even happening. And they're over 80% through their process before they even want to talk to us. So this idea of trust, it's not just our brands or trust marks. It's not just something that is kind of like another word to throw out there like value or ROI. And it becomes said so much that it becomes ubiquitous and we don't even know what to do with it. I would love to understand your concept of a trust funnel and how you've really helped that go from startup to exit.
Yeah. Well, there's a very good story that I can give to you, but the first thing before I get to that is going to be you do need to build trust. I agree with that. You need to give great value up front. That helps build the trust. And you need to over deliver after that. So, step 2. And then you need to say, hey, why don't we do some business together? And that's kind of the nitty gritty of it. And the story that I'll give you an example, I'm going to go way back to when we were doing a Salesforce product and platform, going back to about 2010. Business partner and I, one of my best friends from the time I was 5, playing hockey growing up. We both played rep hockey in the Burlington area outside of Toronto. Accent A. I didn't say that A, but I try and keep that out. So we did grow up Canadian boys playing hockey, and he was a brilliant HR tech consultant. but really not great at sales. And then he became a very good strategy tech design guy. The two of us got together. I was marketing and sales. I had a nutrition company with 4,100 different gyms in 4 continents doing personalized nutrition in the early 2000s. Like nobody was doing this. We created it as a profit center, and that was so fun. And that's where you'll see some pictures online that are slowly starting to disappear, but you'll see my clients and stuff. It's cool. But we got into this thing and people said, you have no business being in HR. I'm like, I know, I agree. And they're like, what are you going to do with that? I said, well, we're going to go. Well, you can't beat Workday and Oracle and PeopleSoft, NetSuite. You can't do that. I'm like, I think we can. I think they're missing a category of the market. So identifying the market was the very first step in this thing. My partner wanted to do worker records and performance reviews. And I'm like, no, we need to do more. So he says, okay, recruiting. No, we're going to do the entire suite or we're not doing it at all. 15 functional areas. Okay, now you're against Workday and Oracle for sure. And I said, but we're going to do it differently. HR has been highly neglected. They need some love. You got to gain trust with them. And the only way that we can do it is if we start small, attack fast, and keep a small, lean, nimble team. This was when lean was becoming a thing. We were already doing it. And I thought it was really cool because I got to watch other people market and sell that concept of lean. But here's how we did it. This is how we established a trust funnel in an industry that we've never been in before. We probably don't deserve to be in or belong in. And yet we became one of the most friendly, sought after companies to do business with, that we beat Oracle and Workday and many others in great deals, in big deals, even government deals, US government. And by the way, they did do a background check on me and they did tell me once that we already know you've been cleared. Okay. Well, they do some research. But that being said, here's how we do the trust funnel back then. And it's no different today. And it's been no different for the last 100 years plus, online, offline, in person. What we did is we scaled up by having one sales and marketing person. I'm on the call right now. And my partner was really good at, putting together conceptual reports and strategies for HR and talking to our dev team. The only way to scale me is to do more faster and to build more trust faster. So we leveraged technology. In 2010, nobody was doing webinars and podcasts. This was not a thing. And I said, we can do an evergreen webinar if we want, but that's only going to get us so far because that's like shove it down their throats, push marketing. So I developed this concept of how we would deploy my version of the trust funnel. And what we did is we actually did marketing, ads, content. We pulled them in. It was inbound marketing was a name that people used a lot back then, not so much now, but inbound marketing. We pulled them in. We gave them a tripwire or a trigger or something to get them in. The main thing we would do is drop maybe a 30 or 90-second video. They'd watch that and contact us. I'd send them a 3-minute video and say, 3 questions. Usually was, what's your biggest problem or what's the thing that you really want to focus on? Remember, they need to know that you love them and they like that. They like to feel like they're special. They would watch the video. They'd come back to me and say, that was fantastic, but I really want to know this. And these are the answers to your 3 questions. And from that, I know what they really need. And then I would send them a 6-minute video, say, watch this and answer these 3 questions. And, I would be talking head in the corner before it existed, really. We were using a little bit of outdated tech. I don't even think it exists anymore. But it worked because they saw our faces, my face. They heard my voice. It was as if we were together in the same room because I literally did a webinar in a room like now I'm sitting in my computer loft and I did it on screen and we went through some functional demo areas that I knew they were of interest. So we solved their biggest problems front and first with this thing, performance reviews or recruiting or offboarding and retirement or the worker record. Wherever they were having problems with, from the first 90 seconds to the 3-minute video, they told us. We sent them that specific product to review. They answered the 3 questions. I then would say to them, fantastic. And if I really thought they were a great target audience for us, an ICP as we call it today, that ideal customer profile, I would say, let's have a 1-hour, 1-to-1 session. You can bring your team if you want. What's the number one thing that you want to solve on this? Oh man, we need to crush performance reviews. It's the only reason why I would even consider you guys. Great. If I show you that, give me a scenario or case study. Let me show you that. And if I do that and solve your big problems, do we agree to move forward and perhaps consider an opportunity to work together? Yeah. Or I would say they're not a hot lead. They're tire kicking. I'm not so sure. I don't feel great about them, or I'm too damn busy. And I would send them to a monthly webinar that would do an overview of the whole product. And in the webinar, we had it evergreen, by the way, and it would tell them to contact us for a specific this, to learn this, contact us. Now, I'll tell you that the majority, I would say 90% of them, I did personal one-on-one sessions with. And what we did there, if you think of it, we went from a 90-second infotainment type thing to a 3-minute to a 6-minute to a 30 to 60-minute one-on-one or webinar. And the one-on-ones, we probably did 90% of them. I was doing them in my sleep. I will honestly admit there were times I turned the camera off because I was barely scrolling through. And it's a joke because somebody asked me once, did you do these things in your sleep? The answer is yes. Literally in my sleep. But because we designed an evergreen system before people even knew they existed, we literally were doing them in our sleep. But the trust was there. We felt like friends. We answered their questions directly. We actually listened. And instead of trying to shove our entire solution down their throat, we only focused on the one thing that they cared about. And we would quickly skim over everything else. And that's how they knew that they liked you. They knew they liked the product. And they knew they could trust you not to try and sell them something. That it no longer became a sale. They asked you for the ticket.
And what I love is those videos. I think it was LinkedIn and Ipsos just came out with a study that showed how short form video builds trust. And it's the number one part of B2B content strategy today. And people feel like they get to know you, right? They see you in one video, a second video, a third video. By the time that you get on the call with them, you're not an unknown. What I love the most about all of this is that you built a system to build trust. And B2B is all about relationships, and relationships have to be founded on trust. In fact, my wife and I, when we got married, we made a commitment to each other that we would never break trust between us. We'd never give ourselves the opportunity to ever break trust because it was the foundation.
And we should do that in business too, with everybody we meet. We should do that with our co-founders, partners, executives, but we don't. Not all of us. Some of us do, most of us don't. And unfortunately, greed and lust and ego, those things do creep in, and it's difficult. But if you can keep that trust from the day you meet someone to the day you die, I'll tell you jokingly, I mean, I'll go to some of these events still, and I really shouldn't be at HR tech events anymore. I mean, I'm still involved in a little bit, but not much. I will still get, and they've moved several companies over, and I will still get someone run up and give me a hug out of the blue. And it's like, oh, and it's like, Sandra, VPHR at, and I'm like, what company at now? It's just the way we are. In fact, our VP sales, Adrian, back in the day when Financial Force did acquire us, we did a sales kickoff, and, he said, hey, if they need this, this, and that, go do it, do this, do that, do that. It was very mechanical, very methodical. It worked. He was great at it. And he taught many salespeople, but he said, and if they need a hug, send them over to Patrick. It's a joke, but that's how I operate. And I would try and give them a mental digital hug because we're building trust. We're becoming friends. We're helping them to solve their biggest problems. And we know HR tech, they're the champions. They're not the decision maker. They're not the budget owner. They don't have the power that you need. And we had to make them feel like they were. We had to make them feel like we were friends, hand in hand, going to battle against the big nasty CFO because he writes the checks. And that's just how we functioned. And it was great. I think the trust model works, and I can give you a real life scenario. In our first year of acquisition by Financial Force, I stayed on. So did my partner, actually. He stayed on as well. No golden handcuffs, by the way. We negotiated for none. We stayed because we believed in what we were doing and who we were helping and the people we were around. And of that, we had 120 sales reps after the first year. The math, and here's the metrics for anyone that doesn't believe the trust funnel can work. The math was a large group, 120 sales reps, did $1.7 million in sales of this product. And they were helped by myself. So I was involved in most of those deals somehow, even if it was just limited near the end. One individual did $1.4 million in HR tech sales, or as we called it, HCM, Human Capital Management. That individual is sitting right here on this session. And that individual continued to do his trust model and did not adopt the Bant, the Sandler, the Challenger, just stuck to my trust model and checked those boxes off. And $1.4 million in HCM sales versus $1.7 million for 120 sales reps. Which model works better, facts and function or trust?
Well, I have to say that every single one of us that's listening here today should be thinking, thank you for this reminder, because we can get to the point where we have teams and we have different departments and we have all this data and our goal is to automate absolutely everything. And with AI, human in the loop is a very big part of that conversation, right? How do we maintain it? How do we not let AI take over everything? What I'm taking away from here is that the human element, when you show value, you care, you show up, that is creating a experience for the customer. And today, experience is more important than product or service. And that's even out of a McKinsey study. They did a big study, 400 highly profitable companies, half B2B, half B2C, and they determined the number one differentiator in the market was CX.
Wow. I agree with it. I love it. We made our customer success reps actually part of the sales cycle to the point that they would deal with people and they'd say, hey, you hired some new employees. They're like, yeah. Oh, let me get you back to Patrick or Jenny or John, and they'll get you some new licenses. So our customer success team could really close the sale if they wanted to, but we had them kick it back to the sales rep, one, to make them earn their keep, but two, because they established trust in the beginning. So we should keep that going. And then the trust gets stacked by the back end, the customer support. It's a big deal. I also want to comment that you mentioned about the AI or the human in the loop. My concern is this. Why are we talking about the human in the loop? Shouldn't it be the AI in the loop?
That's the exact opposite, right?
It is. And I love AI. I use it for everything from even simpleton chat to, some pretty sophisticated stuff that we're doing now with Kompound and with Dealide and Startup Stage and Altitude Accelerator. We do a lot of really cool stuff. We have brilliant young people keeping us young. I am 51, so I've got a lot of experience, lots of exits, good, bad, and I learned from all of them. The other thing that we talked about earlier that brought to mind was human video. As much as we're not polished or sexy or beautiful people, the human video is more powerful. And putting it into the funnel, the new funnel, if you will, if you ask me, the new version of the trust funnel is something that I watched and I understood immediately and I fell in love with, comes from Alaric Heck. And if you check him out, he's @outreach.com. No plug. I don't get anything out of that, by the way. I just believe in it so well. It's not cheap. I mean, it's very high value, but the program reminds you, and this is a really cool ad trick for everybody right now listening. You got whatever product X. You can go onto YouTube. You can create your 90, maybe 3-minute second video. Okay, so you got a 90-second video, maybe it's 3 minutes, whatever it is. Ads that go in front of your ideal target audience's person, their influencer. So if I want to market to, I'll just say somebody in the real estate venture game, okay? And I got a product to that. I would go find the audience of somebody like a Pace Morby, Really cool guy, great stories, good tech, good money. He's really good. Um, and I would find his stuff and I would put my 3-minute video ad in front of Pace Morby. So he's bringing the audience. YouTube, Google is enabling the audience, serving his content because it's incredible content, but putting me in front of him as the expert for product X in the real estate venture market. If you watch 30 seconds or more, you get charged. It's pay per click. If you don't watch 30 seconds, you don't get charged. If they click on your call to action anytime from the start to the finish, that's when you get the pay per click charge. But why I'm saying this is going back to what we talked about. We got a little bit of trust because we had a reference point to an influencer that they already trusted. We borrowed from their trust. We inserted our trust. We gained trust with them. They then clicked on our thing and it went to a 30-minute video webinar, whatever it is. Does this sound familiar? Like I did this back in 2009, 10. Short video, personal relationship. Longer video, education, information. Drop some big nuggets, huge value. Make them want to sign up for your 30-minute video. Again, a free one. And give them incredible tools, templates, whatever it is in your business. And then you say, hey, let's get on the call. Let's have a meeting. Let me help solve your biggest challenge, no strings attached. And even then, by the way, Stephen, when I do that, and I'm telling everyone now, if you do get on empoweredentrepreneur.ca, book a meeting. It's the only thing you can do, nothing else. I'm going to get on and give you a 30-minute session where I'm going to give you some great nuggets, some minor strategies, and I'm not going to ask you for a thing. And then the only ask is, if you like that, we should probably talk about a strategy session for an hour. Again, completely free. And I'm going to try and make sure that I give you new revenue streams because I love revenue. I'm a revenue guy, right? Marketing and sales come together with the chief revenue officer. And I'm going to help you with dev because I've got some great connections. I've built a few companies and products. I'm going to give you great nuggets to walk away. If we like each other at that point, if we like each other's opportunities and we can serve each other and help each other grow, scale, and exit, at that point, I'm going to walk away with no strings attached. I'm going to leave a lot of wonderful nuggets on the table. Hopefully I built more trust by doing that. I'm going to let them ask me to engage.
We would all want to be there, right? You know, if we can get the volume of leads that are coming to us versus us constantly coming to them, that's the name of the game.
YouTube delivers leads. They decide if they want to engage with you. You get to engage with them. Then you get to have a one-on-one. Then you get to decide, should we work together or not? I mean, half people think I'm crazy and that's fine. They won't work with me. But half of them say, hey, maybe we should think about working together. So you don't need a lot of real leads because YouTube's filtering out the tire kickers. That 3-minute video is doing its trick.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, what you're doing is you're just proving you can add value without strings attached, right? When it really comes right down to it. And because you have to add that value. If you don't have something good to say, the whole model, will fall apart. But here's what I want to do. This is the most important question that I'm going to ask so far. All right. And that is because we've covered so much territory here that our human brains, we can only take in so much at a time, right? If there was one takeaway that you wanted people to have from this conversation, what would that takeaway be?
Well, serve others. If you serve others, you will build trust. You'll build a relationship. You'll build love, whatever you love. But you got to serve others in an area of your specific passion and expertise. Serve them, build the trust, do great things with great people. I know that's a lot in one, but if you serve others and you have trust, you will be able to do great things. That's what I want people to remember.
I know that comes as much from your professional background as your background as a strong Christian as well. And it's well served all around. And what I just love to do is just say, I know people are going to have questions after this. Is it okay if we give out a link to your LinkedIn profile? People could reach out to you?
Yeah, please do share my LinkedIn profile, McGuire P. You won't miss it. It's the big smiling head. And reach out to me, connect with me. McGuire P on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on empoweredentrepreneur.ca. Sorry, Canadian, but it's there. Happy to help, happy to serve. For anyone that actually wants a strategy session or a LinkedIn profile optimization, because that's part of what we do to help founders and startups and even investors bolster their profiles. Get a meeting with me. I'll give it to you for free. No strings attached.
All right. Well, I just wanted to say thank you. Just bringing to the surface what actually Forrester said. They said the number one job for B2B go-to-market teams is building trust. Number one job. Above, we have demand gen plans and campaigns and sales enablement campaigns. We have all these plans and campaigns, but we don't plan for trust. And so you just underscored that in a big way today.
You can't fake trust. You either trust them or you don't. Your gut is usually right.
Well, Patrick, thank you. Thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate
Thank you.
it.
This is fun. I love it. I will do everything I can. I'm here to serve. I'm here to help. If you ever need me for anything or any of your audience needs me for anything, again, no strings attached. Let's just talk. Let's see if we can trust each other.